I'm Nintendo.
And I'm Sega.
This is Console War!
Do you have enough gold coins to fill a swimming pool, an old-timey full-body bathing suit for a swimming pool, and swimming pool?
It's you! The one from the stars! The one who can save my grandson from evil!
What?
No time to explain. Just go through this portal and save my grandson before it's too late.
Sure, why not? That's what I get for trying to buy a money pool at a convenience store.
Here's your appetizer, sir.
There's bugs in it.
That is the meal.
That's what I get for ordering off the gluten-free menu.
Wow, this place is full of ancient ruins. A pagan temple, a massive pyramid, a circuit city.
Here's your next course, sir.
These marshmallows? Oh, it's an eyeball.
Ah! I got eyeball juice in my eye.
Actually feels pretty good. It cleared up my cataracts.
I did it. I defeated the villain and I'm finally a hero. Oh, nice! A money pool! Now I can finally go full Scrooge McDuck!
Ready for your main meal, sir?
What is it?
Monkey's brains.
That's disgusting. There's a hair in it.
Apologies, sir. And here's a brand new one.
Much better, thank you. Oh, just like Mom used to make. What a crazy dream! What a crazy dream!
What did you dream about?
Really?
What? Don't judge me!
Every time.
So your dream was eating all the food from the dinner party in Temple of Doom?
Yeah, it was delicious. I gotta get a monkey brain guy.
Well, I went to a convenience store, and then I got transported to another dimension, save this dude's grandson from evil!
That's just like the plot of Shaq Fu.
My dream was like Shaq Fu? Oh man, that's such a terrible game. Well, for the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, but it's way worse for the Super Nintendo.
What? That's it! Are we doing this?
Is the London beer flood of 1814 a terrible disaster where more than 320,000 gallons of beer caused a 15-foot tidal wave that killed 8 people in the St. Giles Rookery? Yes. R.I.P.
Worst Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu is a 2D fighting game released in 1994. It was published by Electronic Arts and developed by Delphine Software International, the same Delphine Software International that gave us Flashback. As a matter of fact, this was the very next game they made. Ouch.
In 1995, the game was ported to Game Boy, Game Gear, and Amiga. A sequel, Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn, was released in 2018. Since its initial release, Shaq Fu has become notorious for being one of the worst games ever. Today we're focusing on the original Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis releases. Which version is worse? Let's find out.
These games have the same look.
The characters look the same in both games. You of course have Shaq, then you have the rest. Some human-looking characters, and some monsters. The characters' animations are actually decent. Lots of frames of animation give them a smooth look. Not surprising since Delphine Software International used the same rotoscoping technique from Flashback. So far, not too bad.
The levels look the same in both games as well. They're not the most original designs, but they look fine. There's a lot of animations here too, with characters or parts of the environment moving. There's even parallax scrolling with objects in the background.
The outdoor levels are actually somewhat interesting. You could be fighting in the morning, during the day, or even at night. Someone actually put some effort here. These games may be bad, but it's not because of the graphics.
Actually, decent looking games.
Alright, but mine's still worse. You know what we gotta talk about. Cropping. Two games that look the same. That can only mean one thing. Say it with me. The Super Nintendo game is cropped. Cropped. Cropped.
Well, it's not like a platformer where more screen gives you an advantage. Plus, it makes your characters look bigger.
Okay, well here's something you can't defend. My game's missing levels. The Super Nintendo game is missing not one, not two, not three, but 4 levels. 4! Super Nintendo is missing the gate, Yasko Mines, the Wasteland, and the lab. These missing levels give the world of Shaq Fu more variety, more flavor. Limiting your game to 6 backgrounds when the other has 10 is a definite faux pas. How is Super Nintendo missing 4 levels?
And just finished all the Sega levels. How you doing over there?
Only got about 4 more to go on Super Nintendo, and just gonna...
Are you okay? I think your eyebrows burned off.
It's close, but my game definitely has the edge. For being cropped and missing 4 levels, worst graphics go to Super Nintendo!
Presentation's pretty run-of-the-mill.
Nothing special.
The presentation in these games is pretty standard. The story mode, where you only play as Shaq, opens with cutscenes that make this believable. Then you get your smack talk after a fight. There's also a couple of cutscenes in between the action. And when you beat the game, you get an ending. Credits are over a fight.
Story mode also takes place on a map. You can go all around each island and pick who you want to fight next.
There's duel mode where you can play as any character. No story here, but each character does have their own ending.
HUDs are simple too. You have life bars with a character profile, a fury meter, time, score, and number of victories. Similar, but
my game is missing something.
When you arrive in the second world on Super Nintendo, Shaq says, "Whoa, where am I?" When you arrive in the second world on Sega, nothing. Am I supposed to believe that Shaq knows where he is on Sega?
My game's just so inferior to yours.
What are you talking about? My presentation's so much worse. Let's start with the profile pics in the HUD. Both games have the faces change as the characters lose life. The Sega game, however, has the eyes closed when someone's defeated. On Super Nintendo, the eyes stay open. Now to the trash talk. In story mode on Sega, the picture of the defeated character is bright and clear. On Super Nintendo, it's dull and faded. Did they think these images were too mature? Now to duel mode. On Sega, when you win a fight, you do trash talk, like any good fighting game should. On Super Nintendo, when you win a fight, on to the next fight? Where's my trash talk? If you lose, the computer trash talks you. Why can't you trash talk them? When you get a game over, they tell you how to perform a move of your character. On Sega, they show you the character performing the move. On Super Nintendo, here you go, kid, no show over here. It's not even close with presentation. For having less detail with profile pictures, darker pictures, no trash talk, and not seeing the special move, worst presentation goes to Super Nintendo. Both games have the same songs.
All the music was done by Raphael Guesqua. Music's the same, but Sega doesn't have your sweet instrumentation.
Not everything's the same. Sega definitely did more with the music. The Overworld song on Super Nintendo was the same as the tournament mode. On Sega, it's a new song. When you fight in the duel mode on Sega, Shaq has his own theme. On Super Nintendo, his music is just whatever level he's in.
One song is definitely better on Super Nintendo.
Music for the story mode on Super Nintendo sounds pretty cool. It's got that Shaq the Rapper vibe. On Sega, no rapper vibe.
That's nothing. Remember how your game has more levels? It also has more songs. The Sega game has more levels, so it has more songs. Including the Shaq theme when fighting, you can hear 12 different songs on Sega. Only 6 on Super Nintendo. That's half as many. How did this happen?
Okay, and just about done with music on Sega. How you doing over there?
So far, so good. Only 6 songs to go on Super Nintendo. Feeling good.
You know, I was gonna say, the eyebrows grew back nicely.
Thanks. Kind of helps when you don't get electrocuted. And I am just gonna...
How did that explode? Oh, your eyebrows are gone again. Well, it's not over. My game is missing sound effects.
When you start the Super Nintendo game, you're greeted with this. That pumps you up. On Sega, nothing. Also, when selecting a fighter on Super Nintendo, you hear this. When selecting a fighter on Sega, you get nothing.
My game's missing sound effects too. When you fight Kaori on Sega, you hear... Nice roar. On Super Nintendo, she never roars. On Sega, you can hear Raja's sword right before a match. On Super Nintendo, no sword sound effect. Mine's definitely worse. For having much fewer songs and missing sound effects, worst sound goes to Super Nintendo. They play like typical fighters.
Very simple games.
Controls are very simple. You have fast punch, fast kick, power kick, a move boost, and taunt.
Every character has a few special moves. There's also more basic commands like blocking, throwing, dashing, and energy shield.
One unique tool is the Fury Meter. If you take enough hits, it fills up and then your attacks are stronger.
There's 3 different gameplay modes. You have the story mode. Here you only play as Shaq. Go through the second world in your effort to save the boy Nezu.
There's duel mode. This can be 1 or 2 players. You can play as any character in the game and everyone has their own ending.
There's also a tournament mode. 8-player elimination for 2 players. This is purely for bragging rights.
Both games also have an option to play faster, like a turbo mode.
Lots of similarities.
But what makes them so bad?
The controls are poor. You'll notice this with the special moves. They are very difficult to execute. You never get them to work when you want. It feels like luck when you pull them off. And enemies can be difficult. They don't have any trouble doing a special move. If you waste time, they'll make you pay. Instead of wasting your time trying to do a special, you'll likely resort to button mashing and hope you just get lucky.
One of the worst controls in the game is jumping. It's incredibly floaty and you can't control it. You can't jump short, it's always the same far distance. It's too far. It takes so long. You'll often be stuck in the air jumping over your enemy.
Blocking is confusing too. Hold back to block against high attacks, or down and back to block against low attacks. That's common enough, but it doesn't help to block special moves. For those, you need to press down and the move boost button. Having more than one way to block really complicates things.
The poor controls absolutely hurt this game. It definitely feels like a chore to get through. There are 3 difficulties, but playing on Expert doesn't get you anything extra. Just play the games on Easy, otherwise it's just going to be complete frustration. It's just a lame premise with lamer controls.
Oh, it gets lamer. Don't forget the blood code.
Both games have a blood code. It sounds cool, but they played it really safe. It's so quick and tiny, blink and you miss it. There, that's blood. You don't get any fatalities either, unless you count some monster enemies falling apart. Overall, it's a pointless code to try to appeal to the Mortal Kombat crowd.
They're bad games, but I've definitely played worse.
Well, mine's worse than yours, because I'm missing characters. Alright, so what do we have here? The Super Nintendo game is missing 4 stages, 6 songs, and now it's missing 5 characters. That's right, 5. The Super Nintendo game is missing the Colonel, Diesel, Liotsu, Nizu, and Auroch. That makes the Super Nintendo story and duel modes much shorter. Also, fewer characters to choose from in duel and tournament modes. Missing characters means a worse game. How did this happen?
Okay, and just about done, including all the characters on Sega. How you doing over there?
I think I got about 5 more. Fear of, exploding or being electrocuted has kind of slowed me down these days.
Look, the odds of 3 bad things happening to you are like impossible. 2, I can understand, but 3, no way. You got nothing to worry about, dude. Just work.
I guess you're probably right. Snake!
Where did that snake come from? Hey, at least you still got your eyebrows.
I quit.
Okay, granted, you're missing some characters. A lot of characters, but I think part of my game's broken.
Having trouble beating the Sega game? No problem. As long as you're playing on easy, just move forward and kick. That's all. If you do this, enemies are helpless. Some enemies can escape, but you'll eventually get them. This only doesn't work on the final boss Set. He is wormy. But everyone else, just forward and kick. This makes the Sega game cheap, unlike the Super Nintendo.
A way to get cheap wins? That's awesome! I wish my game had that! And my game is missing even more!
Both games have a hidden bonus stage. You fight lots of skeletons, which were actually part of a cutscene. If you beat enough, you get an extra continue. But the Sega game has bonus fights, another version of Beast, and another version of Set. They're hidden on the world map. Gives you a reason to explore on the Sega game. Super Nintendo has no bonus fights, no reason to explore. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
It's just a palette swap. Doesn't even give you anything cool for winning. It's just more points.
Actually, about the points.
Both games have the scoreboard. You can enter your name from playing the story mode. However, the Sega game also lets you write your name for the duel and tournament modes too. Just fill out the scoreboard with your name of choice. On Super Nintendo, no scoreboard. Once you beat those modes, just move on.
Both games play poorly. There's really no contest when it comes to gameplay.
For missing 5 characters, missing bonus fights, and only having a scoreboard for story mode, worst gameplay goes to Super Nintendo.
Both games are bad, but one is worse, and that's Shaq Fu for the Super Nintendo.
It has worse graphics for missing stages and being cropped. It has worse presentation for having less detail with profile pictures, darker pictures, no trash talk, and not seeing the special move. It has worse sound for missing songs and sound effects. It has worse gameplay for having fewer characters, missing bonus fights, and fewer scoreboards. Sure, the games are bad, but they're not the worst games. Even though it has a dumb premise and the controls are lacking, it is playable. There's definitely worse. But if you want to play the worst version of Shaq Fu, there's only one choice. Worst Shaq Fu goes to Super Nintendo.
Ugh, I can't believe we played those games again.
Well, I am hungry. Let's go get some snacks.
Yeah, hey, a new Wawa opened up. Let's go see if it's better than the other Wawa.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Hate that other Wawa.
They were all out of Fritos. They had beer. What?
Something familiar about this place.
Wait a minute! This is the place for my dreams!
No, that can't be right. It's not like we're gonna see the old man right there. Ah! It's exactly like my dream!
Dude, there's no way!
I'm telling you it is. Watch this.
It's you! The one from the stars! The one who can save my grandson from evil!
Whoa.
I told you. And now we're gonna be heroes and save his grandson.
Is this for real?
No time to explain. Just go through this portal and save my grandson before it's too late.
You ready?
So where's that could happen? Hey, old man, you got any Mogwais back here?
Breaking news! Bruce Thunderchunk here. The YouTubers who went missing have been found. They were locked up in the back of a convenience store by this man, Eddie Chompers. Oh, and here they are now. Excuse me, sirs, why did you go to the back of a convenience store willingly?
Don't look at me. Ask the beard. We were there for 2 days.
Well, you see,
It was like this dream I had. We went to a convenience store, but then there was a portal to another dimension where we were supposed to save this child and become heroes.
Wow, that's exactly the plot of Shaq Fu, one of the worst games of all time, so I guess viewers are just wondering, were you raised stupid or just born that way?
Are you watching that again? How many times are you gonna watch me looking like a moron?
At least one more.
Come on. Hey, our food got dropped off 20 minutes ago. Let's eat.
Well, I hope you learned a very valuable lesson. Never follow your dreams or bad things will happen. What?
I don't think we got the right order. I mean, what are these? Marshmallows?
I think they're eyeballs. And bugs? And...
Thanks for checking out our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Support us on Patreon for early releases, bonus content, and the Discord. And check out our live channel, Console Wars Live. Special thanks to XaviorTheLycan for his donation of the games. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, X, and Instagram for more Console Wars goodness. Later.
I laughed. It's good. It's too funny. It's funny. It's funny. It's very funny.